Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I have noticed with a lot of passion that William Ruto has taken a complete paradigm shift from the way his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta was doing his things. Even during the campaigns, William Ruto criticized some of the Uhuru legacy projects and the way Uhuru used to conduct the affairs of the country. And it seems that they had decided, together with Rigathi Gachagua, that they were going to run the offices in a very different way from the way Uhuru Kenyatta used to do it. Now, there is one legacy project or one initiative from Uhuru Kenyatta that William Ruto finds himself that he cannot do without. And he has adopted it, whether shamefully or with a lot of humiliation or with a lot of pride, but he's just realized that he cannot do away with it. You remember that some of the things that he abandoned completely were things like huduma number. Uhuru Kenyatta initiated this huduma number, and we were told that huduma number was going to contain your NHIF, NSSF, driving license. All of these were going to be in one document. And if that was the case, I thought it was really a good document. And you remember how we woke up very early in the morning, lined up till very late, just to get this huduma number, because we were told that it was not going to be business as usual without this huduma number. Of course, there were a lot of myths and theories surrounding it, that it was meant to manipulate elections. You know, Kenyans don't trust whatever is happening with the government. William Ruto, after taking oath of office, abandoned the huduma number, and he really criticized it that this was a scam. And remember that the government used over 5 billion shillings, and that is what William Ruto is saying. And I'm wondering whether it is prudent to abandon a project that has really taken a lot of money. But all the same, William Ruto did away with it. Instead, William Ruto replaced it with the digital identification cards, the IDs. And I think this is going to be launched on 29th somewhere in Eldoret, because he promised he would really do away with it. One wonders whether he was just doing it for the sake, or it has got some benefits to the nation, to the citizens. Because I've realized that there are two reasons why William Ruto decided to do away with some of these projects. One, it was just because of pride and inferiority complex, just to show that they are the men in power today. Number two, it was because of their shift of alliance, and now they're working with the West. Uhuru Kenyatta perpetuated the legacy of working with the East, especially the Chinese government that he had inherited from the late President Kibaki. For those who were there before 2002, you remember that there were shortages of motorbikes in the country. The borders used to do it with the bicycles. And then we also had a shortage of mobile phones. It was after Kibaki took out of office that they formed an alliance with the Chinese government, and we opened a market for them. And as a result of that, people have phones. Squeezy watu wako na simu kila mahali, and I think it was a good thing. But William Ruto decided to now shift to the West, and this informed why there's a complete paradigm shift. There was the clearance of goods and services that had been taken from the Mombasa port, and it was now being done within Nairobi and Naivasha inland container. Remember that was it a dry port that had been built somewhere, I think in Naivasha. And William Ruto has been captured when he was really protecting this project, when the residents of Mombasa complained about it. And I remember they disagreed sharply with Joho. And William Ruto took that opportunity to defend this project. When he took out of office, as he had promised the residents of Mombasa, with the coast, he returned all this to Mombasa port, because there were complaints that this had really denied the residents opportunities of jobs. He returned it as if he was not part and parcel. Number 3 was the kazi kwa vijana. Remember, during the corona pandemic, Uhuru Kenyatta was such a sympathetic president, if you ask me. He realized that youths had dropped their jobs. Jobs were really affected, from the hotel industry to the tourism industry. Schools were closed. Things were just messed up. And so he came up with a plan where youths would do some manual jobs, like just cleaning the trenches, and in return they would get some money rather than just sitting there. This project was really helpful. Of course, it was marred with some allegations of corruption, but it was a good project. William Ruto criticized it and said that we could not afford to subject some of our graduates into, cleaning, and he said that was not the way to go. He did away with this project, and he said it was also a scam, and he said that in place he would replace it with the affordable housing project, something that is going on to date. So those are just a few examples that I've given. But I realized that as William Ruto criticizes and is trying to abandon some of these projects, including doing away with the subsidies because the West wanted him to do so. This is something I've mentioned over and over again, including lifting the ban on GMO because the USA wanted to create a market for their farmers in Kenya. There is one project, one initiative that he cannot do away with. And this is what then, during the campaigns, he called the militarization of our country. This is because Uhuru Kenyatta decided to bring in the paramilitary personnel into the civil service. In Nairobi, we had the Lieutenant General Mbadi, who was manning the department that was created, Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Under Mbadi, the government built certain hospitals and dispensaries within the slums because Uhuru Kenyatta just realized that Kenyatta was being overwhelmed, Mama Lucy was being overwhelmed, so he decided that there were some cases that needed not even to reach Kenyatta. And of course, there were a lot of things that General Mbadi did under the Nairobi Metropolitan Service. William Ruto did not like this, and you know that immediately he took over, Mbadi handed over to Sakaja. If you ask many Nairobi residents, they will tell you, afadhali Mbadi. The military and the KDF were also manning the Kenya Meat Commission. This department became a shadow of its former self, riddled with corruption, and sometimes we realized that people were consuming meat that was, stale meat and all this. There were problems surrounding the Kenya Meat Commission. When it was handed over to the Kenya Defence Forces, they revived it. Even the suppliers, from the stories that we got and the confessions, were being paid on time. And people really appreciated the involvement of the military into some of these departments. Then there was the Kenya Wildlife Services that was also being manned by a military guy. William Ruto did not like this idea because he thought that Uhuru Kenyatta was militarizing the nation. But 1 year down the line, William Ruto has adopted what he criticized as the militarization of our country and is now using the very, very tactic that Uhuru Kenyatta was using. In March, William Ruto ordered the Kenya Defence Forces to team up with the Education Ministry to ensure that they rebuilt classrooms that were destroyed by the bandits, because bandits had raided some of the places in northeastern, and children were not even going to school. So William Ruto decided that the KDF were going to team up and rebuild those schools, and that has been done. And you will realize that part of the reasons why the KDF is given a job is because sometimes there are places of hardship that people cannot go. When there is insecurity, you will not call the ordinary civilian to go and work when there are bullets everywhere and you hear gunshots. It's only the military that can be there because they are trained so that they could be working and also manning that area, providing security. Now, we are also being told that there are paramilitary KRA officials that have been unveiled to help bridge the gap in tax collection. And I was just looking at these people. We were told that a few days ago, the Chief Minister Musalia Mudavadi presided over pass out or graduation of over 1,400 officers who had graduated, and they have been labeled revenue service assistants. They graduated from the Kenya Defence Forces Recruit Training School in Eldoret. So these are people who have got the military training. They will be knocking at our doors to help, bridge the gap and to look at those people who don't conform, who want to evade taxes. It is very funny because before Uhuru went, we were told that the KRA was infiltrated by the military because of intelligence. He used to do it because of intelligence and protection there. Number two, Ababu Namwamba, who is the CS in the Ministry of Sports and the Youth Affairs, revealed to the nation that they had handed over the renovation of 3 stadia to the Defense Forces. I think there is Talanta Stadium in Ngong, Nyayo and Kasarani. They have decided that they are going to be renovated by the services of the military. And let me tell you why. Uhuru knew why some of these things had to happen. Sometimes when you subject Kenyans to do some of these things, there's a lot of corruption being perpetuated. Remember the Kimarer and Aror Dam, something that is supposed to help the citizens. They will take money will get into people's pockets. Sometimes the job will be shoddy. And so when you want to avert corruption, you give it to the defense forces and they will do it perfectly without any corrupt deals around it. And Uhuru had realized that people are really stealing money. And so he decided that the only thing I need now to do is to give the military, because the military will not take orders from any other person except the president. For example, you cannot pick a call, take your phone and say that Lieutenant General, nataka hapo uniweke nini yangu hapo kidogo, uniweke hapo 2 billion na 5 billion itakuwa yako. So he knew this is how things were to work. Number two, as I've mentioned, they can work in places where the ordinary civilian man cannot work. Whenever we have bandits and militia and terrorists, for example, today the military can go and work somewhere in Boni Forest, but a civilian cannot do. And this is why they are also given this project. There is also perfection, which is the motto of our military and the defense. Whenever they do something, it will be perfect. They will do it to perfection. They will stick to timelines, unlike other people who will be wasting a lot of time and the projects gobbling a lot of money. And this was also part of the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta decided to invite our KDF into some of our projects. And so, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto realizes that he was using the criticism as a campaign gimmick, and now shamefaced, he has introduced the military into some of this. And I know this is just a tip of an iceberg. Sooner than soonest, we are going to feel the presence of the military. They are our brothers and sisters. They are part and parcel of our nation. But the fallacy with which William Ruto took us during the campaign has now been exposed. Part of the things that he did just to, take a paradigm shift from just to paint Uhuru Kenyatta in bad faith, like removal of the subsidies because it was demanded by the West, is really now killing us because everything has gone up. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to campaign in 2022, please don't criticize so much your predecessor, because when you get there, you will realize that it is not a walk in the park. And let us be honest, even during our campaigns. And so I want to submit to you that William Ruto has realized that he cannot do without the military getting into the system. And I believe he regrets those simple criticism because it is now haunting him.